Watching Business Lunch. Now, Canadian pension fund, remember CDPQ, with over $300 billion of assets under management globally, recently had committed about $250 million to our homegrown Edelweiss Financial Services. Now, speaking for the first time on this investment, Anita George says that their focus is on long-term investments, but agrees that the NBFC space is not yet out of the woods. I caught up with CDPQ and asked on the rationale for betting on an NBFC at a time like this.
The NBFC space has been undergoing turmoil, and you're right that they will probably see some more second round impacts of what has happened in the market. Our approach as a long-term investor in the market and as a partner to Edelweiss is really to look at this more from a long-term point of view. And we see a lot of merit and scope for growth. India's financial sector is still, has a long runway in my view. And that's what we are betting on, along with our partner Edelweiss, to build a business that will really grow and last.
So, Anita, help me understand that since the entire NBFC space is seeing crisis situation, the stock levels are really below their fair valuation also in a lot of cases. Would you look at more such opportunities in other companies?
Our approach is really to work with partners. So if we do find the right partners who are really in the game for the long term, we could. But we also, as I mentioned earlier, have an approach of investing multiple rounds with the partners that we've selected. And we have 4 partners in the financial sector, Kotak Bank, HDFC Limited, Piramal, as well as Edelweiss. So our approach would be to work more with these, as well as look at new partners if we find the right ones.
Okay, that's the word coming in from CDPQ. But moving on, Ebix has made an offer to acquire Yatra.com for $336 million at a whopping 84% premium as the company looks to add to its ecosystem of travel services and financial exchange. Ebix says the acquisition will be highly accretive for shareholders. Mugdha Warrior brings us more details. Mugdha, over to you.
Yes, Ebix has written to the board of Yatra Online with a proposal to acquire 100% of the company for a total amount of $336 million. Now, this will be at an 84% premium because Ebix is offering $7 per share, whereas, Yatra's closing share price on March 8th was $3.8. Now, for Ebix, acquiring Yatra will be a very significant move because, remember, Yatra is one of the leading players in corporate travel in India and has about, 800 corporate customers. And Ebix is looking to boost its travel portfolio, more importantly also to cross-sell some of its other services in its ecosystem, including foreign exchange, financial services, insurance, and so on. And remember, Ebix has made multiple acquisitions in the travel space in the last year, including, Mercury Travel, Swire.com and Zilius. And with Yatra, it looks to, take its annual GMV to about $4 billion from the current $2.5 billion. And, more importantly, Ebix says that this will be highly accretive for its shareholders who will earn about 25 to 30 cents more because Ebix estimates that Yatra will bring about $150 million revenue per year at a 30% operating margin. So Yatra, is saying that it is, reviewing this offer, and we just have to wait and see what happens.
All right. Thanks so much for getting us all those details, Mukta, from the M&A Street. Now, it's a crucial day in the British Parliament today as lawmakers are really scheduled to vote on Theresa May's Brexit deal. In a last-ditch attempt, the Prime Minister has clinched legally binding Brexit backstop changes. May has announced 3 documents, a joint instrument, a joint statement and a unilateral declaration, which she said were aimed at addressing the most contentious part of the divorce deal, which is the Irish backstop. Let's take it straight across to CNBC's Steve Sedgwick to get more details on this. Steve.
A lot of people will want to hear, and of course Arlene Foster from the Ulster Unionists, and of course the ERG from the hard Brexit arm of the Tories, who between them voted down so ignominiously the original Brexit deal on January the 15th, where the Prime Minister went down to a world record British defeat in Parliament. I mean, 432 votes to 202, 230 vote defeat, which was, again, the biggest in modern British history as well. So 24 hours ago, we had pretty much Keir Starmer saying we've had 8 weeks of ignominious failure where the Prime Minister had failed to renegotiate anything. And of course, Jeremy Corbyn, his boss, came out yesterday and said, no, we're still voting against this, regardless of what you think you have and haven't got. But back to your Geoffrey Cox point, absolutely, Jeff, as well. The legal guarantees surrounding the backstop has been, as all our viewers know by now, the absolutely key sticking point. Not European citizens' rights in UK and British citizens' rights in Europe, not the financial deals, or not a whole host of others in this enormous text. It was all about the backstop, and that's, of course, partly because the Prime Minister has such a slim majority and having to rely on the Ulster Unionists as well. So, yes, we're going to wait for what Geoffrey Cox says today, but it seems almost inconceivable, doesn't it, that he's not going to change his advice, that we would have to endure indefinitely the backstop in his previous legal opinion as well, given the fact what Mr Liddington's already said and given what Mrs May has already said. But let's listen to Mrs May first, and I'll just go through the 3 things that she thinks she's achieved last night once you've heard from the UK Prime Minister.
Having an insurance policy to guarantee that there will never be a hard border in Northern Ireland is absolutely right. It honours the UK's solemn commitments in the Belfast Good Friday Agreement. But if we ever have to use that insurance policy, it cannot become a permanent arrangement, and it is not the template for our future relationship. The deal that MPs voted on in January was not strong enough in making that clear, and legally binding changes were needed to set that right. Today, we have agreed them.
Okay, so that is a snapshot of all the global and the local news. From Nisha and myself, thanks so much for watching Business Lunch.